Welcome to the Marketing Report. My name is Russell Pearson and this is episode number 42. The Marketing Report is a podcast for passionate yet frustrated business owners who are looking for a competitive edge. And today I decided to do an episode on my own, but I have decided to do it on video. So if you're just listening to the audio version of this, go and check it out on YouTube. And if you've found it on YouTube, go and check out the podcast that we're all good pod feeders, subscribe things for your loving ears. So today I want to talk about, obviously, the thing that's on business owners' minds right now, which is how am I going to get through and what is next? Because we're right in the middle of this COVID situation and everyone's sick of hearing about it, right? So no one wants to talk about COVID anymore because the novelty has worn completely off and reality has started to really set in. So this is the third week of August 2020. And I can tell you that what I'm seeing out there is a lot of people going through stages of grief. There's a lot of people who are quite angry at what's going on in the world. They're starting to look at who to blame for it. There's a lot of people that are maybe in a bit of a depressed state. They're quite sad or frustrated. Some people are still not even coming to the realization that this is going to be sticking around for some time, and they're sort of avoiding things and they're in that denial stage. But a number of people and a lot of people who are business owners and really looking to make sure that they're still going to use 2020 to be a successful year for them in business, are coming to that reality that things may not change as soon as they would like, so they need to be doing stuff now. Now, in the past, we've talked about what can you be doing right now, and a lot of that's been making sure you're getting your mindset right, making sure you're focusing on what your clients and your customers need right now. But it's at this time, just before September, that we really are needing to start looking strategically at where we're going to be moving next, because we've got December coming down the pipe like a steam train. It's going to hit us in what have we got? We got December, then January, then February. Now, traditionally, in most industries, these are death months. These are the months when so many industries just shut down. So we've got between now, so September, October, and November, to capitalize on this year and make it potentially the best year that we've ever had. I've actually spoken to a number of clients and people I work with that have surprisingly made more profit in this year than they have in so many past years. Now, some of that had to do with some government support, but a lot of it didn't. A lot of it actually came to the fact that they were supplying services and products that were of need even in this time. So there's a number of things we need to look at. So strategically, what does the next 3 months look like for you? Because probably out past 3 months, it's going to be very difficult for us to decide what is next and what's going to happen next, because we really don't know. But within this situation, if we can start looking at how to succeed and maybe succeed a little bit more sustainably, like maybe not burn out, then, and I'll talk to that in just a moment, then I think we've got a really good opportunity of creating a model for success, even if 2021 looks very much the same as this year. Now, I'm not predicting necessarily that it is going to look the same. I think it's going to look a little different, but I don't think we're going to be getting back to any sort of normal anytime soon. So that means international travel I don't see that coming back like straight away. International trade is certainly happening, but it's slowed in its capacity. The corporate or confidence in corporate growth, there's still going to be a holding pattern for some period of time. Obviously, the banks and things and the governments are going to be looking at how are they going to bring some of the money back into the countries where they've actually spent it on helping the community get through. And no matter what your political situation is, and this is interesting things obviously happening in the US, and that's fascinating to watch, but don't just be looking out there as to what's happening. I think it's really important now for us to look internally and look within our own markets and look within our own opportunities and saying, what would the future look like for us if this continued for another 2 years? So if this continued for another 2 years, how would we adapt? Because if we can potentially consider that, there may be things that we can do in this next 3 months that create a profitable outcome for us through the end of 2020. Now, depending on whether your financial records end at the end of the calendar year or whether they end in June, which it's a bit split depending on where you are in the world. This could be the end of the financial year for you, or it could just be midway. But this is a very important time, I think, moving into the Christmas period to make sure that we're in a good place so that because these are the things that are coming on down the pipe, right? Christmas, which is potentially when a lot of trade goes down. A lot of people take holidays in January and February. But what's also going to happen is that the government funding and government support is in question after March. And so while we might be looking to get some immediate income, will we have enough to sustain us through the period of March, April, and then May back into potentially some sort of normality? So we need to be doing work now, I truly believe, to make sure that we've got enough in the bank, enough in the coffers to make sure that we can get through that period that's coming up. So strategically, what are the things that we need to go to? Where do we need to get to from where we are right now? Now, yes, there'll be things mentally. We need to potentially change where we are now to where we need to be. That's going to be one of the things. But what does the business look like when we hit October? What does the business look like when we hit November? What position do we want to be in? So that's all strategy is, right? It's going from this place where we're starting to the end where we're actually finishing. And again, for those people who are not watching the video version of this, then you might want to actually go to YouTube and check this out, because I'll quickly draw this up on the board for you. But this is where we are, right? So this is us now. And all we need to do is get to this place here, this is our reality in the future. So the strategy is just what path do we take to get there? So the work that we can be doing right now is that strategic thinking. Now, what I see a lot of business owners and business managers doing is that they think that strategy is deciding a path. It is true, but what I would suggest is that you need to identify all the different paths that you could take so that you have something to choose from. So a lot of business owners go, all right, I need to get from here to there. I will just choose this path because it seems the most obvious. But that doesn't mean it's going to be the best, especially in a time right now where things are not obvious. So what we want to do is identify what are the other paths that we could take. What's the faster path? What's the slower path? What's a more profitable path? What's a path that gets us from here to there without us doing anything, with someone else doing the work? There's a whole bunch of different ways, different criteria we could look at to decide these different paths that we're going to take. And then we'll choose one, all right? So we're going to choose this one. And then what are the tiny little steps that we need to implement to get us from here to there? That's strategy, and that's as simple as strategy needs to be. But it's defining what the future looks like, and then looking at all the different contingencies, all the different ways that we could get there, and then at the end of the day, picking one. And then we'll look at the tactical stuff, which is what are we going to do? I think a lot of us have been working on the tactical things a little bit too much, and now it's time to look strategically, just for 3 months. I'll put it up there on the board too, 3 months. And making sure that that says 3 months, believe it or not, and making sure that we're clear about what the next 3 months look for us and what we're actually trying to achieve in that time. Now, talking about achievement, this is the other thing that I think is very important. You have an option here, and this is a conversation I've been having with a lot of people during the week, is that if you want to grow your business, if you want to acquire new customers during this period in time, then what you might need to do is do about 30% more work than normal. So we're talking about 30% extra in your marketing and sales activity. So increasing it by at least that, right? If you're just doing business as normal, then you're not going to get the results that you would normally see right now. And so what I see a lot of people doing is that they're doing the normal day-to-day and they're not taking a break, which I'll talk about in a moment, and they're starting to burn out because they're disappointed at the results they're seeing. I'm suggesting for the next 3 months, and potentially especially for the next 6 weeks, we need to do a lot more work if we're looking to succeed in this 3 months, if we're looking to close more work, if we're trying to engage more customers and actually get more sales. That being said, you have an option here, which is actually to decrease the amount of marketing and sales work that you're doing by about the same 30%, and you can actually go into a holding pattern. And normally I would suggest working on the know and the like and the trust of customers. But what you could do if your industry, and this is a big if your industry is truly not buying right now, then you can just move to an awareness campaign, which means that you reduce the amount of sales activity and about the outreach things you're doing. You still want to have the conversations, but you're doing probably less call to action work. But you want to make sure that you're still being seen. So your customers and your prospects still see that you're there. So if they need you, they will call out to you, but maybe less outreach on your behalf. So you could reduce the amount of activity you're doing by about 30% as well. You're not going to see the results, but if you already weren't going to see the results and you can't push it to an extra 30%, then pulling back may be the way to actually get through and survive. because a lot of people are burning out. And that is the thing, right? So businesses, and they say 4 out of 5 businesses fail. Businesses do not tend to fail because of running out of capital expense or having some legal issue or whatever it might be. What actually happens with most businesses that fail is that the business owner, founder, or driver, the person who's pushing the energy into the business, literally runs out of energy and they stop. They give up. Because even if you're in a court battle with all sorts of different businesses and they're trying to shut you down, as long as you can take one more step and keep going, the business hasn't failed. And half the journey of business is staying in business, right? Because there will be downtimes for a lot of businesses. No matter how big the business is, there'll be times when it gets close to administration, it gets close to receivership, and it could go into administration and come back out. These things can still happen, but as long as there's a driver to keep moving things along, the business doesn't fail. And so that's the opportunity, I think, for you, is to understand that if you can keep taking a step forward, if you can keep working on keeping the energy and the passion in your business, then there's no reason you should be going out of business at all right now. You might have to put a business into hiatus. You might have to reduce the amount of activity or spend that you're actually doing on your marketing and sales, but you still need to be there, and there needs to be awareness of you. Otherwise, you will completely lose momentum, and it'll take a lot more energy to get moving, potentially on the other side of March 2021. So, there's a couple of things. Where is your focus right now? Where are you going to be focusing? Are you looking strategically at the next 3 months? Do you know where you want to be at the end of November? Where does that business need to be? The novelty's definitely worn off, and so people are going through these stages of grief, and I think it's good to be aware of that and to notice it when you're talking to people so that you're not having the wrong communication at the wrong time. Now, finally, the other thing I want to make sure that you're across is taking a break. I'm speaking to so many business owners, and none of them have taken a break this year. There were 2 people that I've spoken to that have organised and taken purposeful breaks. Now, I'm not talking about a weekend. I'm talking about a time in the future where you've gone, I'm going to take a break on purpose in that time. Now, it could be a week, it could be a day, but the point is that you've actually taken a break on purpose rather than taking a break when you had a chance. There is something mental about the control that you get back from deciding to take a break. And so what I recommend to everybody who's a business driver, who is a founder, a director, a business owner, someone who's a general manager, make sure you're taking the chance to recharge. And I'm not talking about just normal day-to-day, whether it be your meditation or your exercise. Definitely be doing that stuff as well. But look at a purposeful opportunity to actually take time off, because it allows you to get some control back into the way you go about doing business. And I think that's the big thing that's missing for a lot of people right now is their lack of control. And if they're feeling out of control, they can feel overwhelmed. And if they're feeling overwhelmed, they can't make decisions effectively. So that's an absolute key for you during this period of time, is to take those breaks, look strategically, and being very, very careful about where your focus is right now for your business, and making decisions at the end of the day, because there's so many people out there that have the headlights on them, and then the rabbit in the headlights that doesn't know whether to go left or right, so they're just standing frozen. We want to avoid the freeze that's coming in, especially for you as a business leader. We want to help you get out of the overwhelmed. We want to get you to a point where you've got choices that you can make, and making those decisions is going to allow you to take a step forward and then one more step forward, and by that time you're actually walking and striding and running. And that's what I want to get back into your business. It's the momentum. It's the momentum that's going to give you the passion. It's the momentum that's going to give you the energy to continue on. We're going to come up a bit against a pretty tough time in Christmas. I can tell you right now that the December, January and February time this coming year is probably going to be really tough. But I wanted to go, all right, that's fair enough. That's the reality of the situation. So what are the things I can do right now in the next 3 months, because I have 3 months to get the business to where it needs to be, so that I can weather that storm that's coming, so that I can actually get across the line and potentially be in a better position than I've ever been, because I enabled my business to adapt during this period of time. Clearly, you can see I'm passionate about this. There's all sorts of things that I'm launching at the moment too. If you go and have a look, there's a launch event that's actually happening next week, if you're listening to this in the 3rd week of August. So go and check that out. It's at russellpearsonprograms.com/launch. That is actually helping people launch something new in their business, whether it be a new product, a new service, a book, a course, whatever it is for your business, even going online, maybe a new website. If you're planning on launching something, I'm actually going to show you the secrets that I've learned of 25 years of helping people launch their products, services, and businesses. What are the things that you need to do, not after you launch, but actually before you launch, so that you launch more effectively and ideally open that new product, service, or business to the sound of sales rather than the sound of silence. Because while it's a great song, that's not what we want to hear in our business. We want the sound of silence in our business. So look at the launch program. Also look at russellpearsonprograms.com. There's a fantastic resource of 101 ways for you to boost your business right now. I want you to keep the energy in the things that you are doing. I want you to stay passionate. And until next time, stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Make sure to visit russellpearson.com for more podcast episodes, videos, and more. russellpearson.com.